Can't hear so well. No.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
Jai Om Vishnu Bhagavan Vansu Parivajrakacharya Ashtot Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Kangamai Ki Jai Jamanamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Today we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo... Pardon? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Text 20. Prasthana bimuko pi enam nugraha vilambita prasyam padma palakshakso na prataste surt satam. Translation. The Lord was just about to leave, but because he was so greatly inclined toward the behavior of King Prithu, he did not depart. Seeing the behavior of Maharaj Prithu with his lotus eyes, he was detained because he is always the well-wisher of his devotees. Purport. Here the words Surt Satam are very significant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always very inclined toward his devotee and is always thinking of his devotee's well-being. This is not partiality. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is equal to everyone, samaham sarvabhuteshu. But to one who particularly engages in his service, he is very much inclined. In another place, the Lord says that a devotee always exists in his heart, and he also exists always in the heart of the devotee. The special inclination of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pure devotee is not unnatural, nor is it partiality. For example, sometimes a father has several children, but he has special affection for one child who is very much inclined toward him. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Dasham satata yukta nam jatam prati purvakam vidami buddhi yogam tam yanamam upayanti te. Those who constantly engage in the devotional service of the Lord in love and affection are directly in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sitting as the Supersoul in everyone's heart. The Lord is not far away from the devotee. He is always in everyone's heart, but only the devotee can realize the Lord's presence, and thus he is directly connected, and he takes instruction from the Lord at every moment. Therefore, there is no chance of a devotee's being in error, nor is there any partiality on the part of the Lord for his pure devotees. Guru Maharaj and others, would you like to comment?
Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhakti. We find a similar thing in relation to Maharaj Yudhisthira. I believe when Krishna was performing Maharaj Yudhisthira was performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. Krishna was going to leave, but at the request of Maharaj Yudhisthira, he stayed on. There are other incidents, although they don't come to mind, where Krishna is detained, vilambita, by the affection of his pure devotees. This is Krishna, he's reciprocal. Jayādvaita prapadyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham. Hare Krishna.
Something in the chat. Praveen Prabhu writes, what is the devotees being in error talked about here? What is the perceived error being talked about?
See what it is. I wondered about that, but of course, there's that conversation where I asked Srila Prabhupada that sometimes we see from the mundane platform, material platform, that the devotee makes mistakes. And Prabhupada said that is material platform. From the material platform, it may seem that there's some mistake. Prabhupada's grammar wasn't always perfect. One could point to such things, but the devotee is always on the transcendental platform, beyond error. Beyond that, I don't have much to offer here.
Panchatattva Prabhu writes, it is significant that the verse following Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samahom Sarva Bhuteshu, is Api Chet Su Duracharo. Krishna has a special regard for his devotee, even though that Vaishnava may stumble in his service. Next text, Panchatattva Prabhu. Are you available to read 21?
Sure. Saadirajo Rajitanjali Harim Vilokitum Nashakad Ashrulochana Nakinchano Vacha Nabashva Viklavo Ridapaguhyamum Adhat Avastita. Translation. The original king, Maharaj Prithu, his eyes full of tears and his voice faltering and choked up, could neither see the Lord very distinctly nor speak to address the Lord in any way. He simply embraced the Lord within his heart and remained standing in that way with folded hands. Purport. Just as Krishna is addressed in the Brahma Samhita as Adipurusha, the original personality, so King Prithu, being an empowered incarnation of the Lord, is referred to in this verse as Adi Raja, the original or ideal king. He was a great devotee and at the same time a great hero who conquered over all undesirable elements in his kingdom. He was so powerful that he was equal in fighting to Indra, the king of heaven. He gave protection to his citizens, keeping them engaged in pious activities and devotion to the Lord. He did not collect a single cent of taxes from the citizens without being able to give them protection from all calamities. The greatest calamity in life is to become godless and therefore sinful. If the state head or king allows the citizens to become sinful by indulging in illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling, then the king is responsible, and he has to suffer the resultant sequence of reactions for the sinful lives of the citizens, because he levies taxes on them unnecessarily. These are the principles for a ruling power. And because Maharaj Prithu observed all the principles for a ruling chief, he is referred to here as Adi Raja. It's a lengthy purport. Even a responsible king like Maharaj Prithu can become a pure devotee of the first order. We can distinctly see from King Prithu's behavior how he became ecstatic, both externally and internally, in pure devotional service. Shall we stop there for some comments? Guru Maharaj, would you like to say something? Kind of a long purport.
Let's read some more and then you can comment.
Just today, we have seen in the newspapers of Bombay that the government is going to repeal its prohibition laws. Ever since Gandhi's non-cooperation movement, Bombay has been kept dry and has not allowed its citizens to drink. But unfortunately, the citizens are so clever that they have increased illicit distillation of liquor. And although not being sold publicly in shops, liquor is being sold in public lavatories and similar abnormal places. Unable to check such illicit smuggling, the government has decided to manufacture the liquor at cheaper prices so that people can have their supply of intoxication directly from the government instead of purchasing it in public lavatories. The government failed to change the hearts of the citizens from indulging in sinful life. So instead of losing the taxes, they collect to inflate the treasury. They have decided to manufacture liquor to supply to the citizens who hanker after it. This kind of government cannot check the resultant actions of sinful life, namely war, pestilence, famine, earthquakes, and similar other disturbances. Nature's law is that as soon as there are discrepancies in regard to the law of God, which are described in Bhagavad Gita as dharmasya glani, or disobedience to the laws of nature or God, at once there will be heavy punishment in the form of sudden outbreaks of war. We have recently experienced a war between India and Pakistan. Within 14 days, there have been immense losses of men and money, and there have been disturbances to the entire world. These are the reactions of sinful life. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to make people pure and perfect. If we become even partially pure, as described in the Bhagavatam, nashta prayeshva badreshu, by development of Krishna consciousness, then lust and greed, the material diseases of the citizens, will be reduced. This can be made possible simply by broadcasting the pure message of Srimad Bhagavatam, or Krishna consciousness. Big commercial and industrial firms have contributed many thousands of rupees to a defense fund that burns the money in the form of gunpowder. But unfortunately, if they are asked to contribute liberally to advance the Krishna consciousness movement, they are reluctant. Under the circumstances, the world will periodically suffer from such upsurges and outbreaks of war, which are the consequences of not being Krishna conscious. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Iti Namane. We heard in the previous verse that Lord Vishnu himself, as he was advising and instructing Maharaj Prithu, was explaining how the king has to accept the sinful reactions of the people. He can accept their pious reactions as a result of his properly guiding them on the progressive path of spiritual life. But he also has to accept their sinful reactions if he's putting them in if he's neglecting them in that way and continuing to levy taxes upon them. He has to accept karma for that in the form of their impious, sinful reactions. So it's mentioned here again. And of course, the verse begins with, can you not make that noise? The verse begins with Maharaj Prithu's own condition in after hearing the Lord speak, his eyes full of tears, his voice faltering and choked up. We've already heard in the previous verse about the symptoms of ecstasy in the body of a devotee. They're they're being reflected here in Maharaj Prithu's reaction or response to the Lord's speech. Anyway, more instructions here. How great King Prithu was. How he didn't burden the citizens with any tax unless he was competent to give them protection from all calamities. I remember reading somewhere that the citizens of such a pious king, of such a great king, even though they were being taxed, didn't feel the burden of the tax because it was being returned to them in all manners of protection and support. So, so nice is such a kingdom ruled by a saintly, a Rajarshi, a saintly king. Now, of course, Prabhupada turns to this story from Bombay at that time that prohibition was being repealed. This expression may not be familiar to everyone, but the idea of Bombay being kept dry, this is also an expression used during prohibition era in the United States in the late 1920s to maybe 1930 something. So it would have a dry town or dry city. So, and it's also interesting how this sinful business of liquor distillation and distribution, particularly the distribution of the liquor, was happening in lavatories, public lavatories, and similar abnormal places, Srila Prabhupada says. So, so just even in the distribution, it's like a really low thing that's going on. And it kind of suggests that the people that are doing it, they know fully well how abominable it is, and it's even being distributed in an abominable way. And Prabhupada blames the government. He says they failed to, how does he put it here? They failed to change the hearts of the citizens from indulging in sinful life. It was a failure of the government. So instead of losing the taxes, they collect to inflate the treasury. So hearkening back to the previous statement about what happens to leaders who allow the citizens to become sinful and then levy taxes, those leaders similarly have to accept sinful reactions of the citizenry because they have not done their duty as responsible leaders, instead indulging them in sinful activities. I'll stop there. Gurudev, would you like to say something?
I found that the most interesting part of the purport, that the business of the king is to purify the hearts of the citizen. Otherwise, just passing laws, you can't do this, you can't do that. Really problematic. The citizens are so clever, they'll find some way around it. But the main thing is, actually, we find in the Jayādvaita that Narad sees a pious king, and the whole kingdom is wonderful because of the saintly nature of the king. So there's kirtan all over the kingdom, there's prasadam, there's beautiful deity worship. Everything is there. So combination of these two things is wanted. On the one side, restricting sinful activities. On the other side, purifying the hearts of the citizens. Hare Krishna.
For next text, Saraswati, Mataji, are you available?
Yes, I very quickly just wanted to add that Mahatma Gandhi, the state of Gujarat that he comes from, has prohibited alcohol distribution, but of course there's so much bootleggers, and of course there's the loophole that NRIs are able to officially bring in alcohol. So those that are hell-bent on breaking laws will find a way to do it. Anyway, text 22. Atvamrujya ashrukala vilokayan artpradrigochara mahapurusham padasprashantam shitam aunchanate vinyasta hastagram aranga vidvishaha. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground, while he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes, Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord, but it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus the king offered the following prayers. Purport. The significant point in this verse is that the Lord was standing above the ground, almost touching it. The residents of the upper planetary systems, beginning from Brahmaloka, the planet where Lord Brahma lives, down to Svargaloka, the heavenly planet of Indra, are so advanced in spiritual life that when they come to visit this or similar other lower planetary systems, they keep their weightlessness. This means that they can stand without touching the ground. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because he lives in one of the planetary systems within this universe, he sometimes plays as if one of the demigods of this universe. When he first appeared before Prithu Maharaj, he was not touching the ground of this earth, but when he was fully satisfied with the behavior and character of Maharaj Prithu, he immediately acted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan from Vaikuntha. Out of affection for Prithu Maharaj, he touched the earth, but he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, as if to prevent himself from falling down, since the Lord is not accustomed to standing on earthly ground. These are all symptoms of his great affection for Prithu Maharaj. Perceiving his fortunate position, Prithu Maharaj could not fully look upon the Lord due to ecstasy, but still, in a faltering voice, he began to offer prayers. Om Gyananti Mirindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Srila Prabhupada starts by letting us know that the denizens of the upper planetary system, the planets Svarglok and above, those denizens do not touch when they visit Bhumi and all the planets below Earth. And I've heard it also said that it's also because as you go below Earth and lower down, sinful activities increase. So I've also heard it said that that's one of the reasons that these spiritually advanced residents of the upper planetary systems don't want to touch planet Earth. But here we find that Lord Vishnu, who out of affection, boundless affection for King Prithu, did set foot on planet Earth. And it's commented that he sort of leaned slightly on his van, his carrier Garuda. Of course, that doesn't mean that the Lord is unable to balance himself. That's not an issue. We know even the incarnation of Vamandev, with 1 foot alone, he was able to pierce the coverings of the material universe. So balancing isn't really an issue. But out of such love and affection for his devotee, King Prithu, Lord Vishnu set about by actually making contact with planet Earth. And it's mentioned how the Lord does have his own planet in the material universe, where we know Svetdvipa, and which is close to Dhruvaloka. And it's quite clear that these planets are not the same as other material planets, in the sense they're actually spiritual planets, albeit located within the material universe, but the 3 modes of material nature has no influence whatsoever on the residents of these planets, which are actually Vaikuntha planets. It's described that Garuda is the enemy of snakes. Of course, we know Garuda is a pure devotee, so it's not that he has enmity or that he is an enemy, but the snakes definitely see him as the enemy. And there is a pastime here of how that came to be very quickly, if I can just relate it, because I found it really interesting. Garuda's mother, Vanita, she's a co-wife of Kashyapa Muni, but unfortunately she was enslaved by another co-wife Kadru, who happens to be the mother of snakes, the Nagas, including Kalya snake. And in order to free his mother from this enslavement, Garuda did punish the snakes for their deceit, and did happen to kill many of the Nagas. And so therefore he's known as the sworn enemy of the snakes. And Vasuki, who was the leader of the Nagas, he beseeched Lord Brahma to intervene, and finally a truce was struck, whereby one snake would be offered up to Garuda in sacrifice. But Kalya snake, well, he protested. He didn't want to go with this, and he sort of mocked Garuda by eating the sacrificial snake. And of course, Garuda gave chase to Kalya, who then escaped to the Kalya Rida lake, where this Muni, Sopari Muni, was meditating, and cursed Garuda that he couldn't enter that particular space. And of course, Garuda, being a pure devotee, didn't even counteract the curse, although he could have. And in the end, of course, this was a Vaishnava aparad that the Muni had committed, and he did fall down from his meditation. I'm also thinking of something that I had either read or heard a class from Srila Prabhupada, where a question was asked that, well, Maharaj Yudhishthir's chariot, that never touched the ground either, because Maharaj Yudhishthir, being, he never spoke a lie. Some unscrupulous people said that after Maharaj Yudhishthir was forced by Krishna at the Battle of Kurukshetra to lie to Dronacharya that his son Ashwadhama had been killed, when actually an elephant called Ashwadhama had been killed. At the end, it was a form of deceit. So some unscrupulous people question that, well, that's the point at which Maharaj Yudhishthir's chariot did start touching the ground, after he lied. But Srila Prabhupada corrected all of this, and he said no. The reason why Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rath, chariot, did touch the ground was because Maharaj Yudhishthir, when he was instructed by Krishna to tell this lie, hesitated. So Srila Prabhupada corrected and said that was the reason why that happened. Now, these are some of my comments. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, do you have any comments?
We can go on to the next verse.
Okay. Naveen Prabhu, are you available?
Yes, Prabhu. This is text 23.
Yeah.
Okay. Ritu Uvacha Varan Vibho Tvad Vara Deshvarad Buddha Katam Pranite Guna Vikriyat Manam Ye Narakanam Api Santi Dehinam Tan Isha Kaivalyakpate Rene Nacha. Translation. My dear Lord, you are the best of the demigods who can offer benedictions. Why, therefore, should any learned person ask you for benedictions meant for living entities bewildered by the modes of nature? Such benedictions are available automatically, even in the lives of living entities suffering in hellish conditions. My dear Lord, you can certainly bestow merging into your existence, but I do not wish to have such a benediction. Purport. There are different kinds of benedictions according to a person's demands. For karmis, the best benediction is promotion to the higher planetary systems, where the duration of life is very long and the standard of living and happiness is very high. There are others, namely jnanis and yogis, who want the benediction of merging into the existence of the Lord. This is called Kaivalya. The Lord is therefore addressed as Kaivalya Pati, the master or lord of the benediction known as Kaivalya. But devotees receive a different type of benediction from the Lord. Devotees are anxious neither for the heavenly planets nor for merging into the existence of the Lord. According to devotees, Kaivalya, or merging into the existence of the Lord, is considered as good as hell. The word Naraka means hell. Similarly, everyone who exists in this material world is called Naraka, because this material existence itself is known as a hellish condition of life. Prithu Maharaj, however, expressed that he was interested neither in the benediction desired by the karmis nor that desired by the jnanis and yogis. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Prabhu, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, described that Kaivalya is no better than a hellish condition of life. And as for the delights of the heavenly planets, they are factually will-o'-the-wisps, or phantasmagoria. They are not wanted by devotees. Devotees do not even care for the positions held by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor does a devotee desire to become equal with Lord Vishnu. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Prithu Maharaj made this position very clear. I don't have comments, but Maharaj, would you have comments on this?
Hey, Paradishara, you're the controller, master of all benedictions, but I'm not looking for these mundane benedictions, promotion to the heavenly planet, or merging into the Lord. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments, Prithu replies to the Lord's request to ask for a boon. How can an intelligent person ask? A foolish person will ask for material boons. Asking for swarga and such things are the boons of the materialists with minds created by transformation of the gunas. O Lord of Kaivalya, even the person desiring liberation does not ask for these boons. How can I accept them, since I cannot tolerate the name of liberation? Even liberation is unattractive, what to speak of material enjoyment. That pretty well sums things up. Any questions, comments? Okay. Shall we go on?
Yep. Sham Sindhu Prabhu, are you available? Text 24. Not so great. Can you test a little bit?
Let me try to fix this. Sorry for the inconvenience. Hold on. Let's see. That's bad. I think it can sound good very soon if I just.
How does it sound?
Better. That sounds better.
20, okay.
24.
Text 24. Na kamaye na thatat apyaham kvachin na yatra yusmak charanam buja sava mahatamantar hridayan mukhachuto vidhatsvakarna yutam esame varaha. Translation. My dear Lord, I therefore do not wish to have the benediction of merging into your existence, a benediction in which there is no existence of the nectarian beverage of your lotus feet. I want the benediction of at least 1,000,000 ears, for thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. Purport. In the previous verse, Maharaj Prithu addressed the Lord as Kaivalyapati, the master of the liberation of merging into his existence. This does not mean that he was anxious for Kaivalya liberation. That is made clear in this verse. My dear Lord, I do not want such a benediction. Maharaj Prithu wanted to have 1,000,000 ears to hear the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord. He specifically mentioned that the glories of the Lord should emanate from the mouths of pure devotees who speak from the cores of their hearts. It is stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3, Shuka Makhad Amrta Drava Samyutam. The nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam became more relishable because it emanated from the mouth of Srila Shukadev Goswami. One might think that these glories of the Lord can be heard from anywhere, from the mouths of either devotees or non-devotees. But here it is specifically mentioned that the glories of the Lord must emanate from the mouths of pure devotees. Sri Sanatana Goswami has strictly prohibited hearing from the mouth of a non-devotee. There are many professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam who speak the narrations very ornamentally, but a pure devotee does not like to hear from them because such glorification of the Lord is simply a vibration of material sound. But when heard from the mouth of a pure devotee, is immediately effective. One question, Maharaj or other assembled devotees. It's interesting, I heard this term, transparent via medium, but it sounds like the devotees are more than that because, as say, the nectar becomes more relishable emanating from the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. So it's not just a transparent medium. There must be something else going on there. It sounds like it. If it becomes more relishable as it goes, farther down the parampara.
Yes, that's a nice observation. It's transparent, but it's enriched as it comes down the parampara. Sukhamukadamrita Dravya Samyutam. The example is given, Shuka means parrot, and it seems that when a parrot pecks at the fruit becomes sweeter. There's one devotee whose family had a mango orchard, and they told me that this is a fact, that when the bird pecks at the fruit a little bit, the fruit responds by sort of ripening at that spot or sending more sugar to that spot. So, analogously, when a devotee narrates the topics of Bhagavatam, it's both transparent and enriched by his speaking. That's right.
That's amazing. Something else interesting. I don't know who's heard of the game Telephone. You pass a message along, and then down a chain of people. Something I think I did in elementary school. And by the end, they recite the message, and it's inevitably been distorted and mangled. Yet the parampara is very different. The message goes down the chain, and it doesn't get distorted. It actually enhances, which I thought it was an interesting parallel.
Yes. Therefore, you have to be very careful not to invent anything or concoct anything. And that tendency is there, and then the message gets lost. So we should be scrupulous about that and just try to present the same vibration, the kirtan, whether in the form of Sankirtan chanting or Bhagavatam recitation, should be done strictly in the line of the acharyas. Then it would be effective. Or we can say that the members of the Hare Krishna movement should follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, and then everything will be good. Otherwise, if we start doing things in our own ways, this way, that way, we can make a real mess.
Hmm.
And then the original thing gets lost.
Thank you, Maharaj. Rasananda Prabhu, should you read the comment or should I finish and then you read the comment?
I'll read the comment. Panchatattva Prabhu writes, Yoganananda grew up as a child in Guyana, and she and her friends would climb the mango trees for the fruits. They always looked for the pecked fruits, for they were the best.
Confirmed.
Saraswati Mataji writes, the pure devotees glorifying Krishna speak from personal realizations, so it is so potent and changes our hearts. Please continue, Prabhu.
The words Satam Prashangamama Virya Samvita, Bhagavatam 3.25.25, mean that glorification of the Lord is potent when uttered from the mouth of a pure devotee. The Lord has innumerable devotees all over the universe, and they have been glorifying the Lord since time immemorial and for an unlimited time. But still they cannot completely finish enumerating the glories of the Lord. Prithu Maharaj therefore wanted innumerable ears, as Rupa Goswami also desired to have millions of ears and millions of tongues to chant and hear the glorification of the Lord. In other words, if our ears are always engaged in hearing the glorification of the Lord, there will be no scope for hearing the Mayavad philosophy, which is doom to spiritual progress. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that if anyone hears from a Mayavadi philosopher preaching about the activities of the Lord, even if it is a description from the Vedic literature, he is ultimately doomed. By hearing such Mayavad philosophy, one cannot come to the destination of spiritual perfection of life. Maharaj, do you have anything to comment? Especially when I hear Mayavad, I don't know. Most of my mind goes up with against the atheistic scientists more so than Mayavad. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on this statement,
Well,
this passage.
they're both to be shunned. The materialistic scientists want to establish that everything comes from matter, and therefore there's no need of any God. And the Mayavadis want to establish that God is something without name, qualities, form, and pastimes. So these are two most undesirable notions, and the devotees don't want to hear from those who put forward these ideas. All right. Did you have some particular?
No, that's thank you, Maharaj. I don't have anything to add on this particular section.
The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a nice commentary. He says, however, do not fear that I will ask for liberation on hearing me address you as Kaivalyapati. I've addressed you as Kaivalyapati, but don't fear that I'll ask you for liberation. I've addressed you with that word with the intention of saying, give it to those who take pleasure in merging into Brahman. You're Kaivalyapati, but not for me. That is expressed in this verse. You've asked me to ask for anything, but in general, I do not desire anything. But particularly, I never desire, even in the worst misery, the benediction of liberation, Kaivalya. Why? In liberation, there's no honey of your lotus feet, no sweetness of talks about your qualities. How are the topics described? They're coming from the hearts of the great devotees and dripping from their mouths. Those topics are being sung out of great bliss experienced in their hearts. Just as Bhagavatam became sweeter coming from Shukadev's mouth, when the great devotees relish your topics, those topics become even sweeter. The opposite should also be understood. Just as sweet water becomes distasteful when entering salty earth, so the qualities of the Lord become disgusting coming from the mouths of the non-Vaishnavas. Sarpochista in the top. We may think that, oh, it's Krishna Katha, but it's become poisoned. The Lord says, then what do you want? Give me millions of years, because there are unlimited talks about the Lord's qualities. I cannot give up even one among all the topics being sung anywhere by anyone about any subject concerning the Lord. Out of great greed, I desire an infinite number of years. This also indicates I desire ears and other dear senses, which those desiring liberation detest. Do you not want anything else? This is my wish, nothing else. It's noteworthy, probably. Vishnu says, I can't give up even one of these topics. Prabhupada says that in a different way, by saying the pure devotees do not reject even a drop of Srimad Bhagavatam. In other words, it's not that we only want to hear Ras Leela or Madhurya Leela. All of Krishna's activities is fighting at Kurukshetra, is lifting Govardhan Hill, is creating the universe. Everything connected with Krishna is worthy for us to hear. Hare Krishna.
We have some things in the chat. Praveen Prabhu writes, that Prithu mentions Kaivalya means Kaivalya must have been very prevalent even then.
Yeah. The followers of the Upanishads, practically we see Manusyanam, out of thousands, hardly one is interested in Krishna. People are more interested in material advancement or speculative ideas culminating in so-called liberation. So Samhatma Sudurlabha, the Vaishnava, is rare to be found. Looks to me like we're just about out of time.
Yep. There's a final quote here from Praveen Prabhu. A Vaishnava Mukho di Kirnam Putam Hari Katamrita Shravanam Kartavyam Sarpo Shistam Yata. Okay. Naveen Prabhu, are you available for Kirtan?
Yes, Prabhu, I can. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Turn on
Hare,
sorry.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Punamansu Paripradha Jakacharya Ashtotra Sri Srimad Si Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Aim Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Radha Kuniki Gopinath Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Kamurumani Ki Jai Jagannath Ki Jai Tulsi Dev Ki Jai Bhakti Dev Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari
Hari.
Bol. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Shatat, for prayer. Thank you to all. Hare Krishna.